Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, wherever you're watching. Week 3 in the NFL in the books, and we're on to week 4. So tonight, we have the Gauntlet crew, everyone here except JJ, who is celebrating his birthday. So we just want to take the time to wish JoJo a happy birthday, and hopefully he's out celebrating tonight, but hopefully we will see him on Friday. I got Jay and Dom with me tonight. What's up, guys?
What's going on?
All right, guys. So without further ado, we might as well just get right into it. Starting with Thursday Night Football, we have the Detroit Lions. Or Jay, you got it. You got,
I got it,
the Detroit Lions versus the Green Bay Packers. Thursday Night Football, going to Lambeau Field, which I believe Detroit won in Lambeau Field last season. So they will look to do it again. Dom, starting with you. How do you expect this game to go, and what do you think is going to happen? Do you think your Lions are going to pull it out, or are they going to have a stinker?
Definitely won't be a stinker. I don't see any reason why we shouldn't win. Saw the injury report today. Bakhtiari is out. Their guard Jenkins is out. Devondre Campbell is out. Aaron Jones and Christian Watson are questionable. It's looking like the Lions will get Taylor Decker and possibly David Montgomery back. And, at some point, like, Packers fans will try to tell you that, just because he hasn't been absolutely terrible, that Jordan Love is the second coming of Christ. He's had some good moments. He's also had some not so good moments. And I believe this is his first primetime game. I don't see any huge amount of home field advantage. We've owned the Packers there and at home for the last couple of years. They haven't beat us in the last 4 tries. Plus, typically, as everyone knows, the betting line is normally -3 or -3.5 for a home team when the teams are evenly matched. So this to me says
1.5.
The Packers are getting half what they normally would, and it's only because they're at home, i.e., half or less of your home field advantage. I'm thinking a close game. Our pass rush came alive last week, finally. Finally. And the run defense is looking a hell of a lot better than it has for all of last year, the year before, the last 5 years, most of my life, other than, going back to the 90s. So I've got the Lions winning this one. Probably a pretty close game. I'm thinking low scoring, maybe force a turnover or two, and that'll be the difference maker. I got the Lions 20-17.
Jay Nelson, who wins this game and why?
Well, to your point about the run defense, they did come alive. Last week, they held Bijan Robinson to 33 yards off of 10 carries. Tyler Algier had 7 carries for only 12 yards. So they did exactly what I said that they would do last week. Shut the run down and force Desmond Ridder to try to beat them with his arm. He threw for 201, no touchdowns, no picks. Now Sun God showed up, came alive, 9 receptions for 102. If this is the same Lions team that faced Atlanta, I like the Lions' chances in this one. Jordan Love is on a roll. He's kind of got the hot hand right now. But with that being said, I've got Detroit in a close one also. I'm going to say 24-20 Lions. It'll come down to a turnover off a potential Jordan Love game-winning drive.
Okay. Yeah, I totally expect the Lions to win this one as well. Although I do have some concerns about the Lions team, especially last week. I mean, obviously the defense played extremely well. Aiden Hutchinson leading the league in pressures this year so far with 19. But I'm very concerned when it comes to the offense, and their efficiency in the red zone against Atlanta was horrible. They were 1 for 4 in the red zone. You're on the road. It's a division game. Anything can happen in these type of games. I know Green Bay's having a lot of injuries, but I definitely do not expect this to be a blowout of any sort. So I think Detroit needs to not make the same mistakes. Got to score points, got to score touchdowns if you want to win games and put teams away early, like they will have the potential to do if they do what they're supposed to do. But I'm going to go ahead and take Detroit in this one. Coming up next, we have the Pittsburgh Steelers taking on the Houston Texans. two young quarterbacks. You have Pickett, who's had a little bit of question marks this year, and CJ Stroud playing really well as a rookie, looking like the best rookie quarterback of the rookie class so far this season. So, Jay, who wins this game and why?
Well, I can't go against my team. Crazier things have happened. One thing that I will say about the Pittsburgh Steelers is that defense has been nasty, outstanding so far this season. The one disadvantage for the Pittsburgh Steelers is they don't have a lot of game film on Stroud. And with that being said, it's going to be a coin flip as far as what's going to happen. I still think Stroud does a solid job. Tank Dell came alive and well last week. Last week, I had the Texans over the Jaguars 24-21. I didn't think that they would beat them this bad. I think Houston shocked a lot of people by beating. And granted, yes, I know still a semi-bad division, and but this is a very good Jacksonville Jaguars team. They did have a hell of a comeback victory just last year in the postseason. But
Who's that against?
That was the Bolts. Yeah, I know you wanted me to say it. But anyway, with that being said, and Pickett is slowly, getting the form and everything. And Pickens, man, I'm telling you, that is the potential. If they get really clicking, that's the potential to be a top 5 connect in the league. But I got to take the Texans in this one. I'm going to say 26-21. TJ Watt may get Stroud one or a couple of times, but I got Houston pulling it out.
Okay, Dom, who you got winning this game and why?
I'm actually going to pick the Texans as well. CJ Stroud is rolling right now, like you said, looking like the best rookie from that class. I believe he's also now set a rookie record for consecutive pass attempts to start a career without an interception.
Second ever all time.
Like you said, Jay, Tank Dell had a great game last week, and the previous two, Nico Collins ain't no hoe either. Finally, a Michigan receiver comes alive. I don't know why he was so underutilized at Michigan, but he seems to be one of the straws that stirs the drink for Houston. Pittsburgh, I don't know what they are right now. I mean, obviously their hallmark, their calling card year after year is defense, but Kenny Pickett needs to start taking a few steps forward. That O-line has not been anything more than average for the last 3-4 years, and it shows. Najee Harris, I believe, is kind of a wasted talent right now. I mean, it's not like he's getting, 20 carries a game and only averaging 3 yards. He's just not really getting the carries either because the passing offense is not what it should be. So, yeah, I got Texans in a close one. 28-24.
Okay, sounds good. Houston, very impressive win last week against Jacksonville. Nobody really saw that coming, putting up 37 points. Tank Dell, receiver out of University of Houston, 9 receptions, 145 yards. Definitely a contender for a gauntlet grinder, maybe on Friday. But I got to say, I'm also going to have to go with the Texans here as well. I think that this is going to probably be the first really great test for him going up against a defense like the Pittsburgh Steelers have. So, Mike Tomlin, he's going to throw all kinds of different things at CJ, but I think that the Houston Texans are going to be able to make some adjustments just like they were against Jacksonville, and I think they're going to win a close one. So I got the Texans winning as well on Sunday. So next game.
We all picked the Texans against the Steelers.
The Falcons versus the Jaguars. Okay, so we all know that Jacksonville plays extremely well in the UK. It seems like they always win there. So is this trend going to continue, or is the Falcons going to upset them? Jay, talk to me.
I think the Jacksonville Jaguars, this will be their bounce back game. Some people, some personnel may feel, I can't believe we lost to the Texans. Texans are now 6-1 versus the Jaguars since 2020, but so there's no shock there. But I think they saw what the Lions did, and they want to duplicate the same. One more time. If you force Desmond Ridder, if you shut that run game down and force Desmond Ridder to beat them with their arm, it's anybody's guess how it's going to end up. but you still have, you know what? And the Jaguars have low key a very solid receiving core in Zay Jones, Calvin Ridley, and Christian Kirk. You know, I mean, no superstars, but I think any one of us would take a lineup of B receivers any day. They're solid. You know, and you got Trevor Lawrence, of course, back there. Travis Etienne in the backfield. You got a great defense. I think it'll be a little closer. I've got a 10-point victory. I'm going to say Jaguars 27-17.
Okay. Dom, who wins this game and why?
Like Jay said, I think it's the Jags bounce back game. Although, to address the particular wording of the headline, I'm not entirely sure. They might be flying home, but I'm fairly certain even if they win, the Jags will not be leaving London.
They won't.
Because they play there next week as well.
Exactly.
Because
they might as well just stay there.
We'll just move this team to London full time, which none of us really want to see, including the people in London. But, like, I feel like it's the screw job to have to play but like 2 weeks in a row, like
they might as well stay over there. Like I wouldn't go back to Jacksonville. I would just stay.
The food there is not good. The weather is starting to get crappy. They don't have good refrigeration. You can't even get a cold beer. I feel sorry for the Jags, but they need to get this together and now. If they don't come home in 2 weeks with 2 wins, could be season over for them. I can't. Who's their one win against? I mean, it was a close game against KC, but
Indy.
Oh yeah, no real credit given there. But
Indianapolis beat the Baltimore Ravens. So.
They did with Minshew, Gardner Minshew.
That's true.
So, we'll have to see on Friday what does Joseph have to say about that. But Dom, I think you're right. I think you're absolutely right. I think if the Jaguars lose this game, then I think it's time to panic because I think we all said this team is the heavy favorite of the AFC South. This is a team that we were talking about. Okay, this team could really become dangerous in the AFC. Like everyone's talking about Kansas City, everyone's talking about all these other teams in the AFC. But what about Jacksonville? What about them?
Easier to be the hunter or the hunted than the hunter.
They have not played to the expectation so far. And when I look at this Atlanta team, I'm just not very impressed. I don't know, but outside of Bijan Robinson, what is there to talk about? What is there to buzz about with this team? Everyone was talking about Atlanta being a surprise 2-0 team. Well, this is why you don't put stock into teams after like 2 weeks and stuff. We all know that with the Cowboys, which we'll talk about later. So I think that this is a game where Jacksonville is going to look like the team that went to the playoffs last year and gave Kansas City a tough time before losing in a divisional round. And this is going to be a game that's going to be their get-back game. They're going to get right back on the right track, and then they're going to start playing some good football. I think Doug Peterson is going to have a good game plan for them. So moving on to the next game, probably the game of the week.
Wait, no. There we go. That's it.
Probably the game. You know what? Just go back. Okay.
I was going to say I saw that flash up. I'm like,
I'm sorry, but when I said game of the week and you put on the Broncos versus
that was an accident.
Bears,
I was like, really? The game of the week?
Don't make me look bad.
I'm sorry, man.
Don't make me look like a jackass here. But this game of the week, in my opinion, Miami on fire to start the season, looking like one of the best teams in the league. 70 points scored against Broncos last week. And then you have Buffalo, who absolutely slaughtered the Washington Commanders, and they look like they're starting to get right back on the right track as well. So, Dom, talk to me. Who's going to win this game and why?
Oh, this is tough. I mean, Dolphins are riding high off that, college basketball score last week. You guys know that I don't put a lot of stock in the overall health of Tua Tagovailoa. I don't think it's this week that he gets hurt, but every week that goes on, I get less and less sure about his ability to play in the following game. I mean, it's kind of a toss-up to me. Tough to call. Grizzler just took the words and the score out of my mouth. I've got the Bills
33-30.
33-30 in a shootout. I think Josh Allen's starting to get it together, and despite his high number of turnovers, be it the interception or the fumble, I don't think Tua is better than him. I don't think Miami's defense is better than the Bills' defense. I don't think their run game is appreciably better than Buffalo's. Couldn't say it based upon last week, but I think that was a bit of an aberration. I mean, anytime Raheem Mostert goes off like that, he typically gets hurt within the next couple weeks. And other than, the serious pre-draft gurus, how many of us have even heard of Devin Achane? I mean, I knew who he was because I wanted the Lions to draft him in the later rounds, and I'm happy for the kid. And chances are, like I said about Mostert, in the next few weeks here, Achane will be getting number 1 running back carries, and not just because he has the hot hand, because Mostert's on the injured list. Yeah. Bills 33-30.
Jay, talk to me.
I'm actually surprised that the line is not even. That it's just a straight up picking game in Vegas, Keep in mind that this is a resilient Dolphins team for 2 reasons that stand out to me. Number one, mind you, the game at Miami last year, the Bills had the ball for a little over 40 minutes to the Dolphins 19 minutes, the entire game, and the Dolphins somehow won that game. The second reason, no Tua in the postseason, and Skylar Thompson, a third stringer, almost beat the Bills at Bills in the playoffs. This is a resilient Dolphins team, and I think they've taken that loss, and they have just been on fire. Like Dom said, whoever would have thought, Devin Achane would go off. You know what I mean? It's almost like, McDaniel went into the crowd and just picked random people. Hey, yo, who want to score a touchdown? Right? But then there's the Bills. Allen is starting to find his way again. The offense is still the offense. The defense is still there. As of right now, they're still the preseason favorites to win the East. But I think the Dolphins are changing a lot of people's minds. I'm going to take the Fins on this one. I'm going to say 35-32. I got it at a field goal game, just slightly higher than what Dom has it. Of course, he picked the Bills. I picked the Dolphins. So I'm going to say Dolphins 35-32.
Yeah. Yeah, this is going to be a great football game. This is 2 good teams. And I gotta go with Dom on this one. I'm going with Buffalo as well. Buffalo at home, having those fans on their side, I think is going to have a impact on the game as well. Great fans, great home field advantage for them in Buffalo. And I also have to give a lot of shout out. You guys are saying how Josh is trying to find his rhythm, but I think we got to give a shout out to the Buffalo Bills defense and that performance that they had against Washington. They had Sam Howell in hell last week. He was hit 15 times. He was sacked 9 times. He threw 4 interceptions. The Bills' defense was unbelievable. And as great as the Miami offense has been, this is going to be a great test for them because Buffalo's got a good defense. Their defense has played very well so far this season. So this game's going to come down to the turnover battle because we saw against New England, they had a good game plan against them as well. Forced some turnovers there. They just didn't have enough on offense to, make Miami pay for those turnovers. So I'm saying now the Bills can force a couple of turnovers. The Buffalo Bills offense is not the New England Patriots offense. They're going to be able to score points off of turnovers, and I think that's ultimately going to be the reason why they're going to win this game. Also have the Bills winning a close one. So let's go on to the next game.
Oh, now we can talk about this one.
Oh, boy. Where do I start? I don't really know what to say about. I'm just going to go ahead and go first. I don't know what to say about this game, and I really don't know what to say about Justin Fields. Justin Fields is so bad. When you look at Justin Fields play, you just ask yourself this question: does he actually do anything well except for run? Because I think the answer is no. I think that fundamentally, he is so bad at so many things of the quarterback position. And when I'm talking about basic, I'm talking about just basic things. His throwing motion just looks like he's trying to guide it. He doesn't know where he's going with the ball. He doesn't know how to, at what point is he supposed to release the ball from his hands? Footwork's bad. Everything looks bad. So you have to question. Yes, the Bears are very bad at developing the QB position, but is this guy does any of this guy's skill translate to playing NFL quarterback? I think the answer is no. So by default, I'm going to have to go with the Denver Broncos because at least they have something there. And I think that Denver is just going to end up winning this game, not because they're particularly a good team, but because
by default,
the Bears are probably, I mean, we all thought the Cardinals were the worst team in football, but I think the Chicago Bears are the worst team in football. So I'm going to have to go with the Broncos on this one.
Okay. Well, so question for you, Dom. I'm going to throw a stat line at you. 23 of 38 for 306, a touchdown and an interception, only sacked once, QBR of 67.2, passer rating of 83.9. Would you say that's a pretty okay stat line?
Yeah. Was that Russell Wilson in that 50?
It was Russell Wilson last week. It was Russell Wilson just last week. Look, I'm going to keep it short, okay? This game is going to be a race to 13. Whoever crosses 13 points first is going to win the game, all right? Everything James said about Justin Fields, but at least the Broncos have a Russell Wilson. This is going to be the first time in like a year and a half I've even said something remotely good about Ciara's husband. I'm going to say Broncos 13-3. Go ahead, Dom.
Yeah, you're 100% right about a race to 13. It might not even take that. I've got the Broncos winning 12-6. No one gets in the end zone. Justin Fields once again fails to get to the triple-digit number in passing yards. This dude, not only is he now throwing the coaches under the bus, like, oh, I don't know what they're doing, and I just want to play backyard football. Like, what have you been doing your whole career? And how's that worked out for you? Because you have the worst win percentage of any quarterback in history through 30 games. 5 wins in 30 games. No, I think he's like 5-23 now. Soon to be 5-25. What I want to know is, with the Bears and now the Vikings both looking to tank and get in the Caleb Williams sweepstakes, what happens when the Bears play the Vikings?
I don't want to know. We'll cross that bridge when we get there.
So we're consensus Broncos?
Looks like we're all going with Denver here, man. The Bears have just looked so bad. They've been looking like the worst team in football. Next game. Ooh, we got a good one here. Baltimore Ravens taking on the Cleveland Browns. Lamar Jackson taking on Deshaun Watson. I always just think back to Louisville versus Clemson game. That's one of the classic college football games that I can remember. That was such a great game between these guys. But now they're playing against each other in the same division. Cleveland getting back in the win column. Very impressive. And then you have Baltimore that, came short to the Indianapolis Colts. And when I look at that game, it seemed like the Ravens had it right there in overtime, and then they had the game right where they wanted it, and it just slipped away from them, and they gave it right back to the Colts, and the Colts went on to win. So it's a division game. It's a tough game, but Jay, talk to me. Who wins this game and why?
All of us last week said that, hey, last week was going to be the time to show up for Deshaun Watson. He's getting paid this money and everything. This is the season, right? And I said that this was going to be the Deshaun Watson bounce back game from the game on Monday Night Football versus Steelers. Last week, albeit against Ryan Tannehill, but he needed this game, right? 27 of 33, 289. Average 8.8 yards per clip. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, passer rating of 123.4. I said he needed to get back to Houston, Watson. This is the type of stuff that I'm talking about, Now, the jury is out for him for the rest of the season. All I'm saying is we said it. We called it. He needed a game, and that was it. I think that he keeps it rolling because last week it was – and you know what? It's not the fact that the Colts won, but they held the Ravens to 16 points. If you can hold the Baltimore Ravens to under 20 points, if you can hold Lamar Jackson to under 20, you got a real good shot at winning that game. With that being said, I'm going to go ahead and take I'm going to take Cleveland in this one. I think it'll be close, though. I've got 27. I got 27-20, Cleveland.
Okay.
Browns as well, like Jay said. It looks like maybe, at least for a week, when we knew and he knew that he needed to be Texans Deshaun Watson, he showed up. I think he also had around 50 rushing yards in that game. And
actually, he had 16 rushing yards.
16?
Yeah, 1-6.
Oh, okay. And also, every week that goes by, Kareem Hunt is going to get more reacclimated. They'll trust him a little more. I think Jerome Ford, actually, I saw today, he got downgraded from healthy to questionable. I think he'll probably still play. Not that I think that it's really, Kareem Hunt or Jerome Ford is the reason to why they win this game. I would say it's more on Deshaun Watson and that Browns pass rush. This is kind of one of those, if you subscribe to the up-down theory, you might pick the Ravens because the Ravens are down and the Browns are up. I do not. I think Cleveland and Deshaun Watson, the Deshaun Watson of old, keeps it rolling. Close game, 28-23 Browns.
Okay, yeah, I'm going to have to go with the Browns as well. The Ravens are absolutely decimated right now by injuries.
Mm-hmm.
And I just want to talk to you guys about the Cleveland Browns has played well against the Baltimore Ravens. If you look at the last couple of years, they've had success against them, and the Browns are playing at home. I want to talk to you guys about the Cleveland Browns defense, because the Cleveland Browns defense is playing unbelievable right now. Points per game, first. Yards per play, first. QBR, first. And touchdowns allowed. They've allowed 2 offensive touchdowns the whole season. Held Cincinnati to 3 points. Held Tennessee to 3 points, and then they lost to Pittsburgh. But I think that this Cleveland defense is going to set the tone against Lamar Jackson and let him know, like, you're going to have to do something else. You're not going to be able to just run all over us if you're going to win this game. So Lamar is going to have a great performance, I think, through the air in the secondary to make things happen. So it is going to come down to the turnover battle as well. Deshaun having his best game as Cleveland Brown last week. Most people would agree with that. So Deshaun, if he plays well, he doesn't turn the ball over, I think that Cleveland is going to go ahead and win this game as well. And that would put them at 3-1 on the season and 2-1 in division play. So I'm going to go ahead and take the Cleveland Browns as well. So next game. Carolina Panthers versus the Minnesota Vikings. Okay. Well, this is another interesting matchup, to say the least. Bryce Young injured. Will not be playing. Andy Dalton will be starting in his place. And then you have the Minnesota Vikings, who once again lost last week against the Chargers. Kirk Cousins throwing a classic Kirk Cousins interception with the game on the line. So at the end of the day, I just don't have too much to say. I think Minnesota is going to win the game by default, just because, you're talking about Andy Dalton. We're talking about Andy Dalton here. We're not talking about, somebody that's halfway decent. Carolina has not looked good. Bryce Young has not looked too hot so far. He hasn't looked like the guy that won the Heisman Trophy at Alabama. And it's going to be a tough one. But at the end of the day, Minnesota has Justin Jefferson. You got Justin Jefferson. Does Carolina have anybody that can guard him or hold him in check? I don't think so. I think that they're finally going to be able to win a game, and then they're going to get in the win column, and that's it. And Carolina falls to 0-4 or 0-3. Or is it 0-4?
4.
Whatever.
It'd be 0-4.
0-4. We're in week 4. Okay. So go ahead, Jay. You're next.
Man. Yeah, you're right. They have a Justin Jefferson. 7 for 149 and a touchdown last week, even in a loss to the Bolts. I do not have much faith in. Shout out to Tyler Ingram. He calls them the Red BB gun. Don't have too much.
Red Ryder BB gun.
Oh, Red Ryder BB gun. That's right.
It's beige water pistol.
beige water. I thought that maybe Bryce Young, but anyway, no Bryce Young. He's been, I guess, the least looking at all the rookies anyway, rookie quarterbacks. Cousins, he'll get it done this week. He'll get it done. I did say that the Vikings would fall off a cliff before the season. Looks like that's already happening. Mind you, this was a 12-win team last season. They're in all business sorts right now. They're like, look, we had a classic comeback last year. We had a 12-win season, won a division and everything, and here we are on the brink of 0-4. Like, what is going on? Like, even and Dom, you're not a fan of Alexander Madison. Even he had 93 yards last week. But expect them to go 400 this week, and expect the Vikings. It'll be decisive. I got Vikings like 24-7.
13 wins for the Vikings last year, not 12.
13. Oh, it was 13. My bad.
I'm going to go ahead and be the lone wolf and pick the Panthers. The Vikings are tanking. I'm fairly
write it down, Jay.
Yep.
Write it down. The Vikings are tanking. I expect Kirk Cousins to be a New York Jet within 2 weeks, and then once he's gone, what are they going to do? Who's their backup even? I don't even know. Is it Kellen Mond? Oh, wait, he's a Brown. I think he got cut. I have no idea who the Vikings backup is. Justin Jefferson doesn't even know. He's praying that doesn't happen, but neither one of these teams has anything to play for. I mean, the Vikings can continue playing for the number 1 pick. That's about it. As far as the score, I don't know. Carolina 17, Vikings 12.
So the backup quarterback is Nick Mullins, actually.
Oh, that's right.
The resurrected soul of Nick Mullins.
Well, another thing that we have to bring up when we're talking about this is, would the Vikings blow up the team if it got to like a certain point? Like, you're talking about Kirk Cousins, but I'm also thinking about Justin Jefferson. Justin Jefferson has not signed a contract extension yet with Minnesota. So think about what you could get for Jefferson. Think about what you could get for Kirk Cousins to a desperate team like the Jets. I think that if it gets to this point and they get to 0-4, 0-5, 0-6, then Minnesota, you got to start thinking about the future of your team. And, that may involve having to trade Jefferson for King's ransom.
I think you're better off trading Jefferson at this point because he's not going to want to resign unless they end up with the first overall pick and they get Caleb Williams. But then even then, a winless team with, what looks to be one of the best rookie quarterbacks in a number of years. But outside of that, what do you got? O-line is meh. Running game might be a little bit improved once Cam Akers gets a little bit of a grasp on that playbook, but the defense is trash. You can't fix that in 1 year. You can't fix that in 3 years. It's so bad.
The only thing keeping Minnesota from finishing dead last is the fact that the Chicago Bears, as we said, is the worst team in the league. But the Minnesota Vikings are also terrible. They're just not as bad as the Bears. So let's go on to the next game now. Now we have the Los Angeles Rams taking on the Indianapolis Colts. Tough loss, ugly, low-scoring game against Cincinnati, who was obviously very desperate. It was a must-win for Cincinnati. They got the job done. But the Rams will look to bounce back against the Indianapolis Colts, who have looked good as well coming off their win against Baltimore. They head back home now. So who wins this game and why?
Oh, you know what? I'm actually going to take the Rams. I think this is going to be a bounce-back game for them as well. They felt like they should have beaten Cincinnati the other night. Burrow didn't look like he was – limping or anything like that. And I looked because see on my pick'ems, I picked the Rams because I thought Burrow wasn't playing. And then I
don't
see him
think
walking
Burrow
out.
is 100% though.
I
can't believe it.
No, I don't think he's
he'll be 100% all year.
But I saw him walk out of the tunnel all suited up, and I'm like, oh shoot, I guess he's playing. Well, he did throw for 259. He didn't turn the ball over or anything. It's actually his first career win without throwing a touchdown pass. But speaking of the Rams, I mean, this is going to be a bounce back game for Stafford.
I think we lost Jay. We will come back to him in a minute. Dom, but you can pick it up from here if you want.
Like Jay said, Rams feel like they should have won that game. I don't know that the Colts are necessarily riding high on that victory. I mean, as high as you can be from winning a game, but they really shouldn't have won that game. Tucker missed that 61-yarder at the end of regulation. That's the only reason it even got to overtime. But I do have the Rams in this one. Richardson is still out, correct?
Richardson. He returned to practice, so I think it looks like he's going to be a game time decision.
Oh, all right. I still don't think that makes a difference. He played reasonably well those first couple games, but he also got banged up in both of them, and now he's missed a game. I mean, the real reason that the Rams lost last week was losing the turnover battle. Stafford, in infrequent Stafford fashion, threw a couple picks, albeit one of them was not his fault. But, I mean, I can't say like, oh, the Rams are in a class that the Colts aren't now. These are both middling teams. I just think the Rams have what it takes to get it done. Defense is kind of a wash, but Stafford is better than Minshew or Richardson. Still no Jonathan Taylor, although Zach Moss had a great game last week. But yeah, I got the Rams. Close-ish game, 27-18.
Okay. So you got the Rams, and Jay, you have the Rams.
Yes.
Okay. I'm also going to pick the Rams, but I'm very concerned about how the Rams played last week. Not only because talking about Stafford, 2 turnovers. The thing that's a lot more concerning to me is how bad was the Rams' third down efficiency in that game. They were 1 for 11 on third downs. Like, you got to be able to keep the drives going. You got to convert. You got to make these drives longer and put points on the board. Indianapolis is not a pushover, though. I really wouldn't be surprised if Indianapolis was able to pull this off. But I think in the end, the Rams it's going to come down. This is one of those games where you just win because you're more talented. You win this game because we got Aaron Donald and you don't. So I think that's what it's going to come down to. I think Aaron Donald still going to make some plays as well on that defense. And then Stafford going to have a much better performance. And I think the Rams are going to pull out a close one. But don't sleep on Indianapolis at all. They're not a bad football team. So let's go on to the next game, guys. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers against the New Orleans Saints. Derek Carr is out. I believe Jameis is going to start in his place. So this is an opportunity for Jameis Winston going against his former team, which we know when he was there, he did not play so well over there.
What do you mean? He threw 30 touchdowns in a season.
He also threw 30 picks. That's why they said they were going to make ESPN. Those documentary series on ESPN, they call it 30 for 30, 30 for 30, 30 touchdowns, 30 picks, 30 crab legs. But that's besides the point, guys. That's besides the point, so we got to bring him back in. Tampa Bay coming off their loss last week to the Philadelphia Eagles. I got to say, I still believe in Tampa Bay despite losing that game. I think the Eagles were just a better team, but Tampa Bay is a good team. And I think that what we've seen from Baker Mayfield is still pretty impressive so far for this season. So I think if he's comfortable going up against the Saints defense, he's going to be able to make things happen. And I think on that defense, they have so many good players. You have Shaq Barrett. You have Devin White, those linebackers. I think it's a really good matchup against these running backs of the New Orleans Saints. I believe that Alvin Kamara has a chance to come back from the suspension for this game. So that's probably the biggest matchup that I'm looking for. But I think Tampa Bay is going to come out and bounce back. And I didn't even make a statement and let everyone know that as bad as the NFC South is, Tampa Bay is still a good football team. They're going to win this division, and they're going to get back in the win column. Tampa Bay Bucks improved to 3-1.
I've got the Saints with Alvin Kamara coming back. Revenge game for Jameis Winston. I was mildly impressed with the Bucks the first 2 weeks until they played a real team, and now they look like a house of cards. Honestly, I think what it comes down to is which quarterback throws less interceptions. I think between them, they will throw 5. It might be Jameis that throws 3, but Baker's definitely good for a couple interceptions. Did he throw one last week? Is he still not throwing an interception?
He threw one, but he's only thrown one the whole season.
All right, so 1 in 3 games. So the leveling out of things is due to come. The Saints defense is better than the Buccaneers. Buccaneers defense, very good. But yeah, I've got the Saints. Close one. Potentially high scoring. I'm saying Saints 35, Bucks 30.
Okay. Fair enough. I guess we will go to our next game. We'll just have to circle back to Jay later on. So our next game is going to be the Washington Commanders against the Philadelphia Eagles. The Commanders coming off blowout loss to the Buffalo Bills. Eagles coming off the win at Tampa Bay on Monday night, 3-0. At the end of the day, this is the same thing like last year. All right. Washington plays well against Philadelphia. They played well last year against Philadelphia. The Eagles, just like this season is the case. The Eagles
you guys lost to them once.
The Eagles were undefeated. They were 8-0 when they lost last year. Now they're 3-0. This team knows the Eagles very, very well. They have played well against the Eagles. There's no doubt about that. But at the end of the day, I don't think the trend is going to continue. I just have no reason to think that. When you look at what the Eagles have done this year, 3-0, each week they've played a little bit better than they did before. But the Eagles has not unlocked the level that they can get to. And we all know this. But despite that, you're still winning football games. Despite that, despite Jalen Hurts not playing like the Jalen Hurts of last year, you're putting up 400 and something yards of offense. You have back-to-back games where you rush for over 200 yards. DeAndre Swift is playing unbelievable football behind this offensive line. So at the end of the day, I think the Eagles are going to handle business. Washington has a great defensive line. So I think their defensive line, just like I said, Tampa's front seven against our offensive line, great matchup. This is a great matchup. Montez Sweat playing great. Got Chase Young back, Deron Payne, Jonathan Allen. These guys are all former first-round picks. They got talent. They know how to play. So, but at the end of the day, I think the Eagles are going to handle their business at home and go to 4-0.
Yeah, like you said, the trend from last year will not continue. Eagles are a team on the rise. Commanders, a team on the fall. I don't think they'll be as bad as they were last week, but after the first 2 weeks and then last week, I don't know what to think about Sam Howell. I was never super impressed with him. I was happy for him that he won the starting job. I knew he wasn't as good as he looked the first 2 weeks, but I also don't think he was as bad as he looked last week. Like, yeah, the 4 picks, that's kind of inexcusable. But when you're running for your life, you get sacked 9 times, you get hit 15 times. Like, you get happy feet and you just start trying to get rid of the ball. You just close your eyes and throw it and hope you don't get crunched. And that's what leads to interceptions. But
Sam Howell, 4 picks last week.
Yes. I don't think the Commanders have a prayer. I don't even think they can cover the spread. And I think the Eagles' offense will continue to look better than it has the week before. I've got the Eagles 30-10.
Jay.
Man, I agree with Dom. I don't think they have a prayer on this one. If they look like the way they did at home against Buffalo, wait, is the Eagles on the road or the Commanders on the road?
It's in Philadelphia.
Oh yeah. It might be just as bad. Eagles, they're getting back, and I know James had concerns about the Eagles actually getting back to form, almost like they were kind of like getting by games, but they're still unbeaten. But no, not the Commanders. No, I don't see this happening at all. I think I see Sam Howell having another bad game, going up against the defending NFC champions. I've got the Eagles in a runaway on this one. I'm going to say 35-10 Philadelphia.
Okay, and Jay, who do you have winning because your internet cut out? We were talking about the Saints and the Bucks. Who you got winning that one?
Buccaneers. They got no Derek Carr. I think this is a Mayfield bounce back game. I expect them to come back and win this one. Let's see. Now he still has to face that Saints defense, which is always a challenge. but Mayfield and the company get it done. I'm going to say Buccaneers 21-17.
Okay, so Dom is lone wolfing on the Saints over the Buccaneers and the Panthers over the Vikings. So write that down.
Yep.
2 times.
So write that down. Okay. So
I was
Time
alone
lone wolf.
against my own team last week, and the double reverse jinx worked.
next up, we have the Cincinnati Bengals taking on the Tennessee Titans. Bengals are 2.5-point favorites on the road. So, guys, I have to say, I'll just go ahead and start us off. I have to say, last week was pure desperation by the Cincinnati Bengals, and it's what they're doing is extremely risky, and it has me feeling a little bit. If I'm a Bengals fan, I'm feeling a little bit uncomfortable with the way that they're handling the Joe Burrow situation. Because first of all, Joe Burrow is not 100%, and when they announced that he was going to start, I was like, you got to be out of your mind. You know, you should, even if you go to 0-3, it's not worth it. It's not worth it to me, the risk of this guy being not 100% and then potentially having an even worse injury. This guy is such a great talent of the position. So I don't really trust the Bengals organization to handle Joe Burrow the way that they should. It kind of reminds me of the Andrew Luck situation with the Colts. Both teams failed to build a great offensive line around him until it was too late. So with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and take the Bengals on this one just by default, not because I'm particularly confident in the Bengals or anything that I've seen, but the Tennessee Titans are just not a good football team. It seems like Dom is right when it comes to Derrick Henry. I think that the Tennessee Titans have successfully ran him to death, and now he is on the decline. And as we've seen the last few years, as long as you can stop Derrick Henry or somewhat contain him, then you're pretty much going to be able to win. But now Derrick Henry is no longer the Derrick Henry that we used to know. So the Tennessee Titans, I just think they're a bad team. So I got the Bengals winning this one.
They're a very bad team. And I'll make this short. I would rather take Joe Burrow on one leg than Ryan Tannehill on two. All right. And I mean that's just because they've become so one-dimensional. Derrick Henry hasn't looked like Derrick Henry this year. You know what Tannehill is. You know. I'm starting to wonder
at what point would Tennessee consider going to Will Levis?
I was going to say, can we see Levis and Butthead?
The mayonnaise coffee guy.
This is it. Because in their mind, if we can't beat a one-legged Joe Burrow, it's time to turn to Mayo Coffee. I've got Bengals 24-7 over the Nashville, whatever you want to call them at this point. I don't think anyone recognizes that team. The Nashville football team, yes. the Music City Meatheads, whatever.
Yeah, I've got Bengals. Not a close game. I think we see Levis and Butthead in the second half. Like, you know what Ryan Tannehill is. And your team is going nowhere. Derrick Henry's on the decline. Tannehill's not good. DeAndre Hopkins is like, man, why did I sign this contract? Did he forget that Tennessee is where wide receivers go to die? It's unfortunate for him. He didn't even sign a multi-year deal, did he? It was just a one-year deal?
I think it was a one-year deal.
Yeah.
I don't even know what receivers they have. They have Treylon Burks, their second-year player.
Yeah, he's been a little underwhelming. He also got hurt last year, but when you have Ryan Tannehill as your quarterback, it kind of minimizes what you can do as a wide receiver.
Exactly. Ask A.J. Brown that question. Everyone said, can A.J. Brown be a top receiver? But he goes to Philly and he has 1,500 yards.
Yeah, I didn't think DJ Moore feels right about now.
I'll put it to you like this. It's pretty bad when the 9 quarterbacks the Texans had before Deshaun Watson were seemingly better than the 1 quarterback that DeAndre Hopkins has right now.
Yeah, I used to think DeAndre Hopkins is a miracle worker. He got to Tennessee like, man, I can't do nothing with
He's
this
the
guy.
same. He's just like Larry Fitzgerald. Like the only great quarterback that Hopkins played with was probably Deshaun Watson. And then the only great quarterback that Larry played with was Kurt Warner. Very much the same thing.
Carson Palmer.
It's like watching the same bad movie. So I think that's it. The next game is going to be the Raiders against the Chargers. The Raiders are absolutely in shambles right now. Devontae Adams is clearly pissed off. He's clearly so frustrated. When they kept asking him questions after the Raiders' loss on Sunday night against the Pittsburgh Steelers, he said, "Look, man, I'm trying to win games. I'm trying to get stuff done. I don't have time to be waiting around." Josh McDaniels, we all said when he got hired, is this guy really going to be the guy to lead the franchise? Because he failed as a head coach with Denver. He pretty much only rode Bill Belichick's coattails to success and Tom Brady's coattails to success. He's not an NFL head coach material. He's not. So for that but also on the other side, Brandon Staley is not that. I mean, that first game against Miami, I want to point to this one play that made me think this guy is potentially the worst coach in the league. You put Khalil Mack at the slot, and you basically saying cover Tyreek Hill. Shout out to Khalil Mack, because Khalil Mack was just like, hell no, I ain't running with him, bro. Like, y'all got that. So Brandon Staley, terrible coach. So at the end of the day, I think it comes down to coaching. Which coach is going to be, in the words of Dom, the least terrible coach? I don't know. So I'm just going to put a blindfold on, and I'm going to say the Chargers win this game because they just have a little bit more talent. So
Pin the tail.
I got the Chargers.
I'm going to pick and this is another game that I'm surprised wasn't a pick 'em neither. It should have been an even line in Vegas, as far as I'm concerned. The Chargers have a Herbert and the Raiders don't. Now, of course, the Raiders don't have a Brandon Staley, but
but they have a Josh McDaniels.
They do have a Josh McDaniels.
They do.
It reminds me, not to cut you off, but it reminds me of the South Park episode where they had like the school election, and it was like you had to vote between a turd sandwich or a giant douche. That's pretty much what you have here with Josh McDaniels and Brandon Staley. But go ahead.
Staley, yeah. I wouldn't be shocked if at some point in the game, it's like the Chargers try to give the game to the Raiders, then the Raiders give it back. So they're just kind of trading it off, you know what I mean?
Like the game last week with the Vikings.
Exactly. Yeah. This will be a repeat, a part 2 of that one. Man, I'm going to say Chargers. I'll say Chargers 28-20. It'll come down to the quarterbacks. Herbert will win in spite of Brandon Staley. That might have been his whole time there, but you get the picture. Chargers 28-20.
All right, next game.
Oh wait, Dom
you got
Chargers, but real quick. Let's talk about what happened last week in the same week. Josh McDaniels down 8 points in the red zone, 4th and short, kicks the field goal. You know how many times that's happened in the last 25 years? That was the first time. Then you got Brandon Staley up 4 points with the ball on your own 23, 4th and 4. He goes for it and doesn't get it. Like, here, Minnesota, you want this game? Of course, Kirk Cousins tried to hand Minnesota the game, and then Kirk Cousins, being Kirk Cousins, threw it right back to them. But yeah, Chargers, maybe close. I don't know if the Raiders necessarily cover. 28-20.
So we're all going with the Chargers here. And as I said, Dom's coined phrase, who's going to be the least terrible? I think that's what it comes down to. So I'm going to put a blindfold on and take the Chargers. So next up, this is going to be an interesting game right here, guys. The Patriots versus the Dallas Cowboys in Dallas. Dallas coming off of the game against the Arizona Cardinals, which we all 4 of us, including JJ, we're like, bro, why are we even having this discussion right now? The Dallas Cowboys are not going to lose the Arizona Cardinals. What did they turn around and do? They lost to the Arizona Cardinals, and they pretty much got embarrassed in that game.
Convincingly.
Like, Arizona pretty much was able to do anything they want. And Josh Dobbs had a solid performance. They rushed for 180 yards in the first half, going right at Micah Parsons, who everyone's been talking about and saying this guy's the defensive player of the year. He's the second coming to Lawrence Taylor and all this stuff. And Micah's a great player. I give him his respect, but you can run at him, and that's what Arizona was able to do. So in this game, I'm not pushing over the New England Patriots. I'm actually going to go with the New England Patriots to win this game. According to multiple reports, the Dallas Cowboys are very concerned about this game when it comes to two guys in particular. And one of them is not even really going to be on the field. Will Greer, who spent time with them in training camp, knows a little bit about that offense, can provide some stuff to Bill Belichick, who we already know doesn't really need that much help. And Ezekiel Elliott, who is obviously there since he came into the league in 2016, came over in free agency to New England. So I think that the Patriots are going to have a great game plan. And when it comes to the coaching, they have a clear advantage. Mike McCarthy is not going to be able to do anything against Belichick. And then this Patriots defense is not bad. The only problem with the Patriots is that their offense cannot establish any momentum. They have no mojo on offense, and they can't really figure it out. But if they were able to do that, this Patriots team would be a difficult team to deal with because of the way their defense is played. So I'm going to actually take the Patriots in upset. And then all of a sudden with the Dallas Cowboys, we go from the first 2 weeks, people asking, is this team a Super Bowl favorite? Are they this? Are they that? To saying it's time to panic for the Dallas Cowboys. I'm taking the Patriots.
As far as last week goes, there's a heroizing stat. The Arizona Cardinals are now 7-1 in the last 8 games against Dallas. So to a certain extent, we kind of should have saw that Miata coming, But yes, I said Miata. The Patriots, and if anybody knows, Bill Belichick knows how to pick you apart at the end of the day. He's going to be watching that game film, and he's going to be seeing how it was that the Cardinals beat them. I think, Ramondre Stevenson and who else is in the backfield. They're going to get them. He's going to get them going. Yeah, Zeke. Yeah, he's going to get them going. And of course, it's going to be Zeke's homecoming. They'll probably have a commemorative video or something like that. I got the Patriots winning this game. I don't even think it'll come down to Mac Jones. I think if the Pats can run the football against the Cowboys like the Cardinals did, it's going to be – now, I got a little bit close now. I say about a 10-point victory. I'm going to say Pats 27-17, and then the question is going to start rolling around, is Dak the guy? Are the Cowboys who they say they are? The typical reactions come Monday morning. But I've got Patriots. Who you got, Dom?
I'm going to take the Patriots as well for all the reasons that you guys said. Cowboys they're in semi-panic mode. Like, Dak tried to brush it off like, oh, I guess everyone got what they wanted. Yeah, everyone wants you to lose in primetime, Dak, because everyone except the Cowboys fans hate you and think you're overpaid and under-talented. So, yes, we all got what we wanted. We all got to laugh at the Cowboys. That's what I want every week. And we'll get it again this week.
It does not get any easier for them as the season goes on. They got some difficult.
They got to backload the schedule.
They got some difficult teams to play.
Yeah. How quickly their fortunes go from 2-0 to 2-2 after this week. Yeah. And all of a sudden they're looking a little ways up at the Eagles in the division. Not that I think the Cowboys were ever a serious threat to win the division, but they'll just be looking that much further up. They'll be tied with Washington, no less. And the Giants.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, I just think McCarthy's going to get out coached, and Patriots defense has played well, with all due respect. And when you we saw last week that interception, it wasn't like somebody made like a great play. Like Kaiser White, the former Eagle, had the interception in the end zone. It wasn't like he made like some kind of crazy play. Dak, when you watch that play,
Dak threw it right at him.
You try to break this play down. There's 3 Cardinal jerseys, and there's 1 Cowboys jersey
that you can barely see.
So it's like, I don't understand what Dak is thinking. The only thing I can think of is this. Dak thinks that he sees guys like Mahomes and stuff like make plays like that.
He thinks
But
he
Dak,
can.
you are not Mahomes, bro. You cannot make that throw. And he made the throw, and we all know what happened after that. So, next game, guys, we have the Cardinals against the San Francisco 49ers. So, are we going to see a continuation from last week, or is the 49ers going to shut that down? That's the question. I will go ahead and answer that question and answer it by saying this. San Francisco is not Dallas. Okay, they're not going to, have the same type of performance. Yes, it's a division game. Yes, we always say you got to pay attention to division games. You can't overlook people. Blah blah blah. Let's face it. San Francisco has looked like arguably the best team in the league so far. Brock Purdy playing good. The defense playing good. McCaffrey has scored a touchdown every single game this year. He's playing unbelievable. And if a guy like James Conner was able to expose your defense, then I don't know what you're gonna do when it comes to a guy like CMC. So CMC's gonna cook him up, and I think the Cardinals are gonna do this, or I think the Niners are gonna do this.
I got Niners too. That 14-point line probably should be more than what it is. But yeah, too much 49ers. The Cardinals definitely fall back to earth after this. The Cardinals probably won their Super Bowl last week. Congratulations to Josh Dobbs. I think that was his first win as an NFL starter. Cowboy, shame on you for getting beat by light-skinned Steve Urkel. But with that being said, 49ers. 49ers, absolutely. They'll hang 30 on them. I'll say Niners 30-10. Cardinals might give them a bit of a fight for the first quarter, but then it'll be all Niners. I expect Bosa to get in and do damage. I expect Ayuk, Samuel, everybody, even Elijah Mitchell to run wild on them. Purdy probably won't have to do too much, and even if he did have to, he could torch that defense. So yeah. And also living proof that Dak Prescott is not Brock Purdy. So, yeah, I got Niners going to run away. Go ahead,
I have the Niners as well, but sidebar about Joshua Dobbs. As we all know, the Cardinals are a poverty franchise. So, like a day or two before the game, I guess Dobbs had a lot of family members in attendance. So he went on the Cardinals NFL team shop to order up some Joshua Dobbs jerseys. They weren't selling any on the site. And it was that he wasn't on the roster. Like as a customized jersey, it was not available. So he could not get jerseys for his family members. And of course, the Cardinals, they're like, oh yeah, just go ahead and order them and pay for them. We'll reimburse you, we promise. Couldn't even get jerseys for his family members because according to the NFL team shop, the Cardinals won. He wasn't even on the roster.
Ouch.
That's so messed up. That's sports moron of the week-esque. All right, I lost my train of thought, but next game, Chiefs versus the Jets. This was another year of possibly having Aaron Rodgers versus Patrick Mahomes matchup that was once again taken away, whether it's due to injury, whether it's due to, I think Rodgers had COVID 1 year. So it kind of sucks. Like, this was a Sunday night game. This is a game that everyone was looking forward to, but disappointing that it has to be this way. But the Jets are pretty much going to get destroyed in this game. And shout out to Andy Reid. Andy Reid has a chance this week with a win. 250 wins as a head coach for his career. So congratulations to him for doing that. The only coach in history to win 100-plus games with two franchises. We all know he's unbelievable as a coach. But the real question for this guy is not how many touchdowns is the Chiefs going to win by. How many times is the cameras going to show Taylor Swift in the booth for this?
Yeah.
What's the over under on that?
I mean,
that would be a good prop bet. I want to see if there's any odds on that, and I'm gonna put some money on that. You know what? I get paid Friday. I might try to double my money, double my check. So I'm gonna research into that. But we all know Chiefs are gonna win this game.
The other night I was watching on NFL Throwback on YouTube. James, I don't know if you remember a 2010 game. It was Eagles at Redskins, Monday Night Football. And there was a lot of jaw jacking before the game. Then what did Andy Reid proceed to do? Hang 42 on them in the first half. This is what's probably going to happen to the Jets.
That's
probably
the game
without
that,
the jaw jacking.
let me tell you what we call that game. The Eagles fans would call that game the Monday Night Massacre. But go ahead.
It was. First play of the game, Vic to D-Jax deep for 6 points. But that's what probably going to happen this game, y'all. Probably without the jaw jacking. But, yeah, with no Aaron Rodgers, they don't have a prayer. I've got the Chiefs. The Chiefs are going to score. They're going to score 40 on them. I'll say 42-14. And that 14 is even probably 2 mercy touchdowns. Go ahead, Dom.
How is the line on this game only 9.5 when
it should at least be like 10 or
14.
More. 14.
I could easily see the line for this being double that of 19 full points, and the Jets won't even keep it that close. This might be worse than that Chiefs Bears game. And how much what was that? 41-3?
41-10.
Oh, they got 10?
Yeah.
It'll be that. It'll be that bad, maybe worse. I don't even have a score prediction. And the Jets don't have a prayer, and like I said, they're already on the phone with Minnesota trying to acquire Kirk Cousins. Won't be able to do it in time for Sunday night. Maybe the weekend.
I don't know.
They did just sign Trevor Siemian though off the couch.
So we all unanimously picked the Chiefs for this game.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, one last thing to add to what Dom said about the whole Kirk Cousins thing. Is it even worth it? You're 0-4, you trade for Kirk Cousins. Like, unless you're gonna win a Super Bowl, I don't think it's worth it. I think that you just take this season and it is what it is, and then you get a good draft pick, and then hopefully Aaron comes back next year and he's healthy, and then you can do something. I wouldn't even, if I was the Jets, I wouldn't even try. I would just be like, whatever. Like, the season's basically over, and we're not going to win anything. So what's the point?
I mean, that defense is good enough to take that team to a Super Bowl. Whether or not Kirk Cousins could be the quarterback in a team like that, I don't know. But yeah, it's kind of too late for them. But
at 0-4, I think they got no chance.
Oh yeah, I mean, even at 0-3, your chances of making the playoffs are 3%. 0-4.
The Jets are already 0-4.
Maybe once. The Lions might have made the playoffs once. Cocaine Wayne had a knack for turning seasons around.
The Jets are already 0-4. With that being said, our last game is the Seattle Seahawks versus the New York Giants, who have looked terrible this season. They have looked so bad. I'm actually still surprised that they were able to come back to beat the Cardinals, or they would be on the doorstep of 0-4. Meanwhile, Seattle did not look good week 1, but back-to-back wins. Seattle's looking good. Geno Smith looking good. I like what I'm seeing from Seattle. Like I said before on our show, I said, listen, San Francisco is a great team. They're probably the favorites to win this division, but let's see what happens when they play Seattle, because Seattle is not going to be a pushover, and I think that Seattle is definitely going to be back in the playoffs, even if it's just as a wild card. So I think that they're going to go ahead and handle business against the Giants. So I got Seattle.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take Seattle also. It's crazy how you mentioned that, the Giants come back and everything, and then the Cardinals beating the Cowboys next week. The Cardinals, could be 2-1 right now. That's strange. But anyway, now I got the Seahawks in this one. Still no Saquon for the Giants, and I just don't think that they have the tools. That Daniel Jones cannot beat them. He damn sure can't beat them by himself. Now, it is a young up-and-coming defense, but it's going to be too much. I mean, you got K9, Charbonnet, Tyler Lockett still solid, Geno Smith, comeback player of the year, who's still doing his thing. I agree with Bacon Grizzly. He says 28-20. I'm going to say 28-21 Seahawks.
Okay.
Dom?
I have the Seahawks as well. Not even as close as 28-20. I think they might put up some serious points on this team. K9 had a very good game last week. The game that I expected him to have against the Lions. Thank God I was wrong. He had like almost 100 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns, another almost 60 receiving. Kenneth Walker is a very underrated receiving back. He never had to do it at Michigan State because he was just running the dog piss out of the ball and couldn't be stopped. Looking at you, Michigan. So yeah, Seahawks win big. I'm going to say like 42-10.
Ooh.
Wow. Big time win. So when it comes down to it, guys, this was a successful pick show. So we're going to see next week, or we're actually going to see on Friday as well when we have our next show, what we're going to talk about. Going to see next week. Is Dom going to be cooking us? Because I don't think me and Jay had any lone wolves today. I think it was only Dom that had 2 of them. So stay tuned to see. Did he get it right or not? But with that being said, appreciate you guys. Appreciate you for tuning in. Tune in to the Gauntlet this Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. And we will definitely have a loaded show for you guys this week on Sideline Sports Network. So we'll see you guys next time.
Victory Friday. Go Lions.
No doubt.